one of the rules of thumb that I think is worth abiding by, and I guess this is something that makes me somewhat conservative in some ways, is that you should do what everyone else does unless there's a very good reason not to. And I think that's the same idea that you're putting forward, which is that if you do fight back against everything, then you're just a rebel without a cause, right? And you discredit yourself entirely. And if you accept everything, well, then you're not even there. And so there's some judicious analysis of the situation that helps you understand when the time for action is right. And most of the time, what you're doing in life is you're doing what other people do, and that's going along with the game. That's part of being socialized, but there's going to be times when the right thing to do is to break a rule and to do it very carefully. And so, there's a scene. I think this is a New Testament scene, but it might be in some of the apocryphal writings. I don't remember. So Christ is walking down the road on the Sabbath, and there's a ditch by the road, and it's very hot. And in the ditch there's a hole, and in the hole there's a sheep. And so the sheep is stuck in the hole, and this guy, shepherd, is trying to get the sheep out of the hole. And Christ walks by and he says, if you don't understand what you're doing, you're a transgressor of the law and you're cursed. But if you do understand what you're doing, then you're blessed. So it's a perfect example of that, because it's like if you're, okay, now here's your situation. You're a shepherd and you're supposed to be taking care of that sheep, right? But it's the Sabbath day, so you're not supposed to be working. Now, if you have decided, you've thought this through, you think it's the Sabbath day, this is something that everybody needs because everybody needs to take a rest, and this is a rule I shouldn't break because everybody needs to take a rest or things degenerate. And I understand that, and I have a lot of respect for it, but I think that in this situation it's still morally appropriate for me to break that rule in this slight way and get this poor sheep out of this hole. Then, well, Christ's judgment was, well, then you're exactly on the right track. But if you're doing it carelessly and stupidly, you're breaking that rule. Then you're a transgressor of the law and you're cursed. And I think that's exactly at the essence of what you're describing. It's like you play by the rules, but then there's a meta rule, which is now and then you break the rules. And you do that very, very carefully, because when you break the rules, you're breaking the rules. And the rules are what keep peace. They're what keep peace and order. And so you break them only in the service of a higher peace and order. And so that seems to be, and I think that's, you see this in the sorts of stories that are influencing even the things that you're writing, like in the Harry Potter series, for example. Harry's friends and compatriots are quite disciplined, Hermione in particular, because she's an absolute master of her craft. But they still break rules when it's necessary, only when it's necessary. And that's what makes them more than the people who are just breaking rules all the time, the villains, so to speak, and also makes them more than the people that are just being good by being conformist. So you need that touch of rebelliousness, but it's got to be a flavoring and not the whole diet.
Absolutely. I've actually talked about that